The battlefield moon was silent now, except for the wind that howled through twisted metal and broken machinery. 3 days had passed since the Xinthian collective retreated from this worthless rock, orbiting a gas giant that nobody cared about anymore. And the only things left behind were corpses and wreckage. Among the debris lay Kreth. He was a Vargal war beast, standing 8 feet tall when healthy, with obsidian black scales that could deflect small arms fire, and 6 powerful legs built for charging through enemy lines. But right now he could barely breathe. A support beam had crushed his lower torso during the final bombardment, and plasma burns covered his flanks where enemy fire had found the gaps in his armor. One of his 6 eyes was gone, completely destroyed by shrapnel, and the others were dimming as his body slowly gave up. His neural implants still functioned though, and they fed him data he didn't want to see. Dropping. Blood pressure critical. Estimated time until system failure, 4 hours. The Xinthians had left him, of course. That was doctrine. War beasts were resources to be expended, not recovered. Kreth had known this since his creation in the acceleration vats, where they grew Vargals from embryo to full combat size in 18 months. He had known it through 19 battles across 4 brutal years. He had known it when his handler shot the other injured Vargals in his pack before retreating rather than waste ammunition carrying them to the transport ships. Knowing didn't make it hurt less. Kreth tried to move his front legs, but the beam held him fast. He had stopped trying to call for help after the first day, when he realized no help would come. The Xinthians considered him dead already. Just another line item in a battle report. Unit VH-7744. Combat effectiveness terminated. His tongue was dry, cracked. The moon had no atmosphere worth mentioning, and his suit's life support had failed 12 hours ago. Soon the cold would take him if blood loss didn't finish the job first. He closed his remaining eyes and waited. That's when he heard it, the sound of engines. Human engines, with their distinctive roar that other species considered inefficient and loud. Kreth's eyes snapped open. What were humans doing here? This battlefield belonged to the war between the Xinthian Collective and the Reach Confederacy. Humans were independent operators, mostly staying out of the big conflicts and running salvage operations in the aftermath. His neural implants identified the ship as it descended through the thin atmosphere. Independent civilian vessel. Probable salvage crew. No military markings. The ship landed 300 meters from his position, and Kreth watched through failing vision as a ramp lowered. Extended. 3 figures emerged in EVA suits. I'm telling you, Captain, those biosigns are probably just residual readings from decomposing bodies, a male voice said over the open comm channel. Residual readings don't show active neural activity, Jin, a female voice responded. That would be the captain then. The Confederacy liaison said we shouldn't waste time on Vargals even if we find them alive, a third voice added. This one was female too, with a different accent. The Confederacy liaison can file his opinions in the recycler, the captain said. If something's alive out here, we're checking it out. Kreth's hearts pounded faster. They were coming toward him. But why? He was Xinthian property, military hardware. There was no salvage value in a dying war beast. The 3 humans picked their way through the debris field, and Kreth got his first clear look at them through his fading vision. A tall, dark-skinned woman with gray streaks in her black hair. The one called Jin was shorter and Asian in appearance, carrying a medical kit that looked heavy. The third was younger, with blonde hair, and moved like someone who knew how to handle the plasma rifle slung across her back. Holy shit, Jin breathed when they came around a collapsed artillery platform and saw Kreth. It's a Vargal. The third was younger and moved like someone who knew how to handle the plasma rifle slung across her back. It's a Vargal. Still alive too, the blonde one said. Barely. The captain approached slowly, her hands visible and empty. Kreth's combat instinct screamed at him to attack, to defend himself. But he couldn't move, and honestly he was too tired to care anymore. "Easy there," the captain said. "We're not here to hurt you." Kreth's translator implant processed her words and converted them to Xinthian military standard. His response came out as a wet growl. "Why?" The single word took all his remaining strength. "Why what?" Kneeling beside him now, close enough that he could kill her if he could move his claws. "Why approach a dying weapon?" The captain looked at him for a long moment. "Because you're not dead yet, and anything that fights this hard to live deserves a chance," she said. Then she turned to Jin. "Can we move him?" Jin was already scanning Kreth with medical equipment. "This is bad, Captain," he said. "Crushed organs, plasma burns, severe blood loss, and these neural implants are fighting my scanner." "I asked if we can move him," the captain repeated. "Not if, but can." Jin bit his lip. "If we're very careful and very lucky, maybe." "Then let's get lucky," the captain said, and tapped her comm. "Dimitri, we need the heavy lifter and the cargo bay converted to emergency medical." "Captain," the blonde woman protested, "the Confederacy will fine us for interfering with Xinthian military property." "Yuki," the captain said, "I've got the credits." She looked back at Kreth. "What's your name, soldier?" Kreth's translator struggled with the concept. Name. Vargals didn't have names, they had designations. VH7744, he rasped. The captain's face did something complex that Kreth's implants couldn't quite read. "That's not a name," she said. "That's a serial number." "It is what I am," Kreth said. "Well, VH7744, I'm Captain Maria Okonkwo of the Persephone's Coin," she said, "and we're going to get you out of here." "Why?" Kreth asked again. Because nothing in his training or experience made this make sense. "Because it's the right thing to do," Maria said simply. The next hour was agony. The human crew brought equipment and carefully lifted the beam off Kreth's body. His crushed organs screamed, and his implants flooded him with warnings. But Jin kept working through it all, injecting him with things that dulled the worst of the pain. They rigged an anti-grav stretcher and floated him to their ship. Kreth caught glimpses of their faces as they worked. Jin was sweating despite the cold, and his hands shook slightly, but he never stopped. Yuki kept her rifle ready, scanning for threats, even though the battlefield was empty. A fourth human appeared, a massive man with a prosthetic arm, who helped guide the stretcher with surprising gentleness. And Maria. Maria stayed by Kreth's head the whole time, talking to him in a steady voice about nothing important, just keeping him conscious and focused. "Stay with us," she kept saying. "You've made it this far." They loaded him into the cargo bay, which they had hastily converted into something resembling a medical facility. Jin started attaching monitors and running lines into Kreth's body. "I've never treated a Vargal before," Jin admitted. "Actually, I've never treated any non-human before." "Will I die?" Kreth asked. It seemed important to know. "Not if I have anything to say about it," Jin said, with a smile that showed too many teeth, but somehow didn't feel threatening. The ship's engines roared to life, and Kreth felt them lifting off, away from the battlefield, away from the Xinthian collective, away from everything he had ever known. "Rest now," Maria said from somewhere above him. "You're safe." Safe. Kreth had never been safe. Safety wasn't part of the Vargal design specifications. But as the drugs Jin had given him pulled him down into darkness, he discovered something unexpected. He wanted to believe her. He wanted to believe that these strange, inefficient humans, who stopped to rescue a dying enemy war beast for no logical reason, might actually keep him safe. His last conscious thought before the darkness took him was a question he couldn't answer. Species risks themselves for a weapon they can't even use. He would have a long time to figure it out. Kreth woke to pain. Not the clean, sharp pain of combat injuries, but the deep, aching pain of a body trying desperately to repair itself. His neural implants were screaming warnings at him, but the messages were confused and contradictory. Systems compromised. Unknown substances in bloodstream. Combat protocols offline. His remaining eyes snapped open, and combat instincts took over before consciousness fully returned. Threat assessment immediate. The room was wrong. Too small, too bright, smelled wrong, full of chemical scents and the distinctive odor of humans. His body moved before his mind caught up. All 6 legs pushed against the medical bed, and servos in his combat armor engaged, sending him lurching toward the nearest movement. Jin had been checking a monitor with his back turned, and he barely had time to shout before Kreth's claws were reaching for his throat. Training said, eliminate the target. Threat. P. Training said, never let them take you alive. Training said, Kreth, stop. Maria's voice cut through the combat fog, and Kreth froze. Not because his body stopped responding, but because something in that voice demanded his attention. She stood in the doorway, completely unarmed, in simple coveralls, with her hands raised and open. Stand down, soldier, she said in that same commanding tone. You're safe here. Kreth's claws were inches from Jin's neck. The medic had gone very still, his eyes wide, but his hands weren't reaching for weapons. He was just standing there, trusting that Kreth wouldn't kill him. The combat protocols demanded completion. Eliminate the threat. Secure the area. Escape or die trying. But Maria wasn't moving, and Jin wasn't fighting back. And somewhere deep in Kreth's brain, a different thought emerged. These humans saved you. I don't understand, Kreth said, and his claws slowly retracted. I know, Maria said gently. It's okay. You were working on me, Kreth said, looking at Jin. I woke and you were threat and I... Instinct, Jin said, and his voice was shaking just slightly. I get it. You could have died, Kreth said. Yeah, Jin agreed, but you stopped. Had he stopped, or had Maria stopped him? Kreth wasn't sure anymore. His neural implants were throwing errors he had never seen before. Combat protocol violation. Threat neutralization incomplete. Mission parameters undefined. He let Jin guide him back to the medical bed, and this time he stayed there, while his mind tried to process what had just happened. Where am I? He asked. Medical bay on the Persephone's coin, Maria said. We're 3 days out from the battlefield, heading toward Haven's Reach Station. 3 days. He had been unconscious for 3 days. And out, Jin explained as he carefully resumed his scans. Your body was in bad shape. That was an understatement. Kreth could feel the damage even through the pain suppressors. His crushed organs were healing, but slowly. The plasma burns had been treated, but the tissue was still raw. And his neural implants were behaving strangely, fighting against the medications Jin had given him. Why haven't you killed me? Kreth asked. It was the logical question. He was Zintian military property. Enemy hardware. A weapon that could turn on them at any moment. Why would we kill you? Maria asked. I am a war beast, Kreth said. I was made to kill. You were made by people who apparently don't understand what they created, Maria said. You're a person, Kreth. That is not my name, Kreth insisted. VH7744 is my designation. It's a serial number, Maria said. You deserve better. The next several days, Kreth slowly pieced together his situation. The Persephone's coin was an independent salvage vessel with a crew of 5. Maria was the captain and owner. Jin was their medic and communications officer. Yuki, the blonde woman, was their pilot. Dmitri, the large man with the prosthetic arm, was their engineer. And the 5th crew member was a teenager named Sam, who handled cargo and apparently was Maria's nephew. They were heading to Haven's Reach to sell their salvage and to find better medical facilities for Kreth. The crew argued about this frequently enough that Kreth could hear them through the medical bay walls. We can't keep him, Captain, Yuki said one evening. The Zintians will want him back, and we don't have the resources to fight them. We're not fighting anyone, Maria said. We're just giving him medical care. Medical care that's eating through our profits, Yuki pointed out. When do we calculate the worth of a life in credits? Maria shot back. Since we started operating on thin margins, Yuki said, but her voice was softer now. I'm not saying abandon him. I'm just saying we need a plan. They did need a plan. Kreth knew this. He was a liability to them. A dangerous, expensive liability that could get them all killed. But he didn't know what to do about it. His entire existence had been structured around following orders and completing missions. Now there were no orders, no missions, just these strange humans who insisted on keeping him alive for reasons he couldn't fathom. Dmitri visited him on the 4th day. The big engineer came in carrying a toolkit and examined Kreth's neural implants with professional interest. These are nasty pieces of work, Dmitri said in his heavy accent. Pain compliance conditioning built right into the hardware. Said, it ensures cruelty, Dmitri countered. Then he did something unexpected. He rolled up his sleeve, showing the prosthetic arm and the scars where flesh met metal. I was a soldier too, Dmitri said. Earth's resource wars. I lost my arm when my commanding officer decided our lives were acceptable losses for a strategic objective. Kreth looked at the scars. You understand then, he said. I understand that some people treat soldiers as equipment, Dmitri said, but not all people. The captain saved you too, Kreth guessed. The captain gave me a job when nobody else would hire a broken soldier with PTSD, Dmitri said. She has a habit of collecting strays. He started working on the neural implants, carefully adjusting settings. What are you doing? Kreth asked. Disabling the pain compliance protocols, Dmitri said. They're interfering with Jin's medical treatments. Harder to control, Kreth warned. Good, Dmitri said. You shouldn't be controlled. That night, Kreth dreamed. Vargals weren't supposed to dream. Their neural implants suppressed REM sleep to keep them combat-ready at all times. But with Dmitri's modifications, the suppression was lifted, and Kreth's mind wandered into strange territory. He dreamed of the acceleration vats where he was grown. He dreamed of his first handler, teaching him to kill. He dreamed of his packmates who died one by one in battles they didn't choose. He dreamed of the moment when his handler shot the wounded rather than save them. He woke gasping. Jin was there immediately. Easy, the medic said. You were having a nightmare. Vargals don't dream, Kreth insisted. Well, you're dreaming now, Jin said. Want to talk about it? Kreth did something he had never done before. He talked. He told Jin about the vats, and the training, and the battles. He told him about watching his pack die. He told him about lying on that battlefield, waiting for death. Jin listened to all of it. That's horrific, Jin said quietly when Kreth finished. That is efficiency, Kreth said. That is slavery, Jin corrected. Your people created sentient beings and treated them as disposable equipment. We are equipment, Kreth said. We were made to fight. You were made by people who convinced themselves you weren't people, Jin said. That doesn't make it true. Kreth's translator struggled with this concept. He had never questioned his purpose before. Questioning was inefficient, but the humans kept saying things that made him question anyway. On the 7th day, Maria brought Sam to meet him. The teenager was nervous, obviously afraid of the large predator in the medical bay. Sam's been helping prepare your meals, Maria said. Explained. I thought you should meet. Sam held out a container of the protein paste that Jin had been feeding Kreth. I, added some flavor compounds, Sam said. Jin said your species can taste sweet and savory, so I tried to make it less bland. Kreth accepted the container carefully. His claws could gut Sam without effort, and the teenager knew it. But Sam had still come, still offered food, still tried to make things better for him. Thank you, Kreth said. It was the first time he had thanked anyone for anything. Sam smiled. You're welcome. That's when Kreth realized something profound. These humans had no reason to save him. No reason to feed him or heal him or modify his implants to reduce his pain. No reason to treat him as anything other than the weapon he was designed to be. But they did it anyway. When he asked Maria about it later, she gave him an answer that would change everything. "We're human," she said simply. "We don't leave people behind." "I'm not human," Kreth pointed out. "No," Maria agreed, "but you're people." That's enough. Kreth's neural implants tried to process this, and failed. It was inefficient. It was illogical. It was completely contrary to everything he knew about how the galaxy worked. But it was also the most important thing anyone had ever said to him. He was people, not equipment, not a weapon, not a designation. People. "I don't know how to be people," he admitted. "Nobody does at first," Maria said. "You learn as you go." "Will you teach me?" Kreth asked. Maria smiled. "We already are." Haven's Reach station hung in the void like a massive spinning wheel, with ships docking at the central hub and commerce spreading through the spokes. It was neutral territory, maintained by a consortium of species who wanted somewhere to trade without the big powers interfering. The Persephone's coin docked on schedule, and Maria filed their standard salvage declarations with station authority. She did not mention the Vargul in their medical bay. "Stay quiet and stay hidden," she told Kreth before they docked. "If the Zynthians find out you're here, things will get complicated." Kreth understood complicated. Complicated meant combat. Complicated meant people died. He stayed in the medical bay while the crew unloaded their salvage, but his neural implants were restless. Something felt wrong. His combat instincts were screaming warnings that he couldn't quite interpret. On the third day at Haven's Reach, his instincts proved correct. Jin came running into the medical bay, his face pale. "We have a problem," he said. "Zynthian ship just docked." "They're here for salvage," Maria said, but she didn't sound convinced. "They're here for me," Kreth said. He knew how the collective operated. Vargals were expensive to produce. More importantly, they contained classified information about bioweapons programs and combat conditioning. A surviving Vargal in foreign hands was a security breach. The Zynthians would want him back or dead, preferably dead. "You don't know that," Maria said. "I know doctrine," Kreth replied. "They're here for me." 2 hours later, Overseer Thrix appeared at the airlock with legal documentation and 4 security personnel. Kreth watched through the security cameras as Maria met them. Thrix was a tall Zynthian with the gray skin and ridge patterns that marked her as upper caste. And her voice was colder. "Captain Okonkwo," she said, "we have reason to believe you are harboring stolen Zynthian military property." "I salvaged medical equipment and scrap metal," Maria said. "All properly documented." "I am referring to Unit VH-7744, Thrix said. "A Vargul warbeast that went missing from the recent engagement in the Keltharian sector." "Haven't seen any warbeasts," Maria said. "Check my cargo manifests." "We will," Thrix said. "And we will be filing a formal complaint with station authority." Under collective law, biological military assets remain property of the state, even when abandoned on the battlefield. Under galactic law, abandoned beings aren't property, Maria countered. "They're refugees." "Varguls are not beings," Thrix said. "They are weapons." "Then you won't mind if I keep the one I found," Maria said, "since weapons are just salvage." Unpleasant. Pause. "This is not a negotiation, Captain," she said. "Surrender the unit or face legal consequences." "File your complaints," Maria said, and close the airlock. Inside the ship the crew gathered. "She's not going to stop," Yuki said. "The Zynthians don't take no for an answer." "What are our options?" Maria asked. "Run," Dmitri suggested. Haven't Reach has a dozen exit vectors. "Or fight," Sam said. Everyone looked at the teenager. "I'm not saying I want to fight," Sam added quickly. "But they're going to come for him either way." "They will," Kreth agreed. He had been silent until now, but he knew what was coming. Xinthian retrieval protocols are thorough. They'll try legal channels first, but if that fails, they'll use other methods. What kind of other methods? Jin asked. Assassination, Kreth said simply. They'll send hunters to eliminate me and anyone who knows about me. That's us, Yuki said. That's us, Kreth confirmed. Maria's face hardened. Then we keep you safe, and we keep ourselves safe, she said. Dimitri, start prepping the ship for emergency departure. Yuki, file alternate flight plans to 6 different destinations. Jin, work with Kreth on his combat capabilities. Sam, you're on security monitoring. And what are you doing, Captain? Dimitri asked. I'm going to have a chat with station security, Maria said. If the Xinthians want to play legal games, we'll play harder. The attack came on the 5th night. Kreth sensed them first. His neural implants detected movement patterns in the station's environmental systems that didn't match normal traffic. Assassins, professional ones. They're here, he told Jin, who was working in the medical bay. How many? Jin asked immediately, trusting Kreth's instincts. 4, Kreth said. Maybe 5. Coming through the maintenance corridors. Jin hit the alarm. The crew scrambled. Dimitri grabbed a plasma rifle. Yuki sealed the bridge. Sam locked down the cargo bay. Maria armed herself and positioned at the main airlock. They'll try to breach from multiple points, Kreth said. His combat training was taking over. He could read the attack pattern. Distraction at the main entrance. Real assault through the maintenance access. How do you know? Maria asked. Because that's how I would do it, Kreth said. He was right. The explosion at the main airlock was small and controlled, just enough to draw attention. But Kreth was already moving toward the maintenance access in the cargo bay. His body was still healing. He was at perhaps 60% combat effectiveness. But 60% of a Vargal was still more dangerous than most beings at full strength. Assassin came through the access hatch with a plasma cutter and a neural stunner. Kreth's claws took him in the throat before he could react. The second assassin was faster. She rolled through the hatch and came up firing. Plasma bolts seared past Kreth's head. He charged. The confined space worked against him, but his mass worked for him. He crashed into her and drove her into the bulkhead, with enough force to crack her armor. She didn't get up. The third assassin was already in the corridor. He saw his companions down and did the smart thing. He threw a fragmentation grenade. Kreth saw it coming, saw the timer, saw Maria coming around the corner behind him. He didn't think, he just moved. His body covered Maria as the grenade detonated. Shrapnel tore through his scales. Pain exploded across his back. His neural implants screamed warnings. But Maria was alive. Shouted. The third assassin was raising his weapon to finish the job when Dimitri's plasma rifle took him in the chest. The fourth assassin never made it aboard. Sam had spotted him on the security cameras, and Yuki depressurized the maintenance corridor before he could reach the ship. The fifth assassin. There was no fifth assassin. Kreth had miscounted. The aftermath was chaos. Jin worked frantically to pull shrapnel from Kreth's back, while station security finally arrived to investigate. Thrix appeared at the docking bay with more legal documents and threats. But something had changed. The attempted assassination had been caught on security cameras. Multiple witnesses had seen Xinthian operatives attempting to board a civilian vessel with lethal force. Station authority was not pleased. Your retrieval team killed 3 beings and injured 5 others, the station commander said. He was a Reach Confederacy, species with 4 arms and a very angry expression. All in pursuit of what you claim is military equipment. Unit VH7744 is stolen property, Thrix insisted. Unit VH7744 has a name, Maria said. She was standing now, covered in Kreth's blood, but unbowed. His name is Kreth. He's a person, and he's under my protection. You have no authority to grant protection to collective property, Thrix said. Actually, under Haven's Reach neutral territory protocols, I can grant temporary asylum to any being seeking refuge, the station commander said. Is the Vargol seeking asylum? Everyone looked at Kreth. He was on the medical bed again, more wounded than before, more tired than before, but also more certain than before. Yes, he said. His voice was weak, but clear. I seek asylum. Thrix's face went through several colors. This is unacceptable, she said. Stand for this breach of protocol. The collective can file a formal complaint with the Galactic Assembly, the station commander said. Until then, the Vargol stays here under asylum protection. Now get off my station before I charge you with attempted murder. Thrix left, but her final words were directed at Maria. This isn't over, Captain, she said. You've made an enemy today. I've made the right choice, Maria replied. After station security left and the crew had time to breathe, Jin finished patching Kreth up. You saved my life, Maria said. She was sitting beside his medical bed. You took shrapnel meant for me. You saved mine first, Kreth said. That's different, Maria said. How? Kreth asked. Because I'm the captain, Maria said. It's my job to protect my crew. Am I crew then? Kreth asked. The question hung in the air. Maria looked at Dimitri, and Yuki, and Jin. Sam. They all nodded. Yeah, Maria said. Your crew. Kreth felt something strange in his chest, something that had nothing to do with his injuries. His neural implants tried to classify it. Failed. Tried again. Failed again. It wasn't until much later that he realized what it was. It was belonging. I don't understand humans, he said quietly. You asked why we saved you, Maria said, back on that battlefield. You asked why we would risk ourselves for a weapon we couldn't use. I remember, Kreth said. It's because you're not a weapon, Maria said. You're Kreth, and we don't leave our people behind. In that moment something fundamental shifted in Kreth's understanding of the universe. The Xinthians had taught him that he was a tool, that his value was measured in combat effectiveness, that loyalty was enforced through pain and fear. But these humans were teaching him something different. They were teaching him that some people would fight for you not because they owned you or controlled you, but because they saw you as worthy of fighting for. They were teaching him that family wasn't about genetics or design. It was about choice. And Kreth made his choice. I am crew, he said. Damn right you are, Maria said. Outside the ship, Thrix was already planning her next move. The Xinthian collective did not forgive. They did not forget, and they would not allow this precedent to stand. But inside the Persephone's coin, something more powerful than vengeance was growing. Hope. And humans had a habit of protecting what they hoped for. 3 weeks passed in a strange kind of peace. The Persephone's coin remained docked at Haven's Reach, while Station Authority processed asylum paperwork, and Maria negotiated with various legal entities about Kreth's status. For the first time in his existence, Kreth experienced something unprecedented. Downtime. No missions. No combat training. No handlers barking orders. Just time. The crew didn't know what to do with him at first. He was too large for most common areas. Too dangerous by nature. Too trained to kill. But slowly they figured it out. Dimitri taught him chess. The engineer set up a modified board with pieces large enough for Kreth's claws to manipulate. It's about strategy, Dimitri explained, thinking 3 moves ahead. Like tactical planning, Kreth said. Like tactical planning, Dimitri agreed. But nobody dies. That was novel. Games. Then he started winning. Dimitri grinned. You're a fast learner. Sam tried to teach him to play guitar. This was less successful. Kreth's claws were made for rending armor, not strumming strings. But Sam was patient, and eventually Kreth could produce something that almost resembled music. You're terrible, Sam said cheerfully, but you're getting better. Yuki taught him about navigation. She showed him star charts and explained jump routes, and talked about the places she had been. "You ever want to just go somewhere?" she asked, "for no reason except to see it?" Kreth had never considered such a thing. Every movement in his life had been mission-oriented. Going somewhere just to see it was incomprehensible. "And yet, where would you go," he asked, "if you could go anywhere?" Yuki's eyes got distant. "Earth," she said. "I want to see where humanity came from, P. "Is it beautiful?" Kreth asked. "I've seen pictures," Yuki said. "It's a mess. Polluted in places, scarred by wars. But it's home, and that makes it beautiful." Jin spent the most time with Kreth. The medic was still trying to fully understand Vargul biology, and Kreth's neural implants fascinated him. "These are remarkable," Jin said one evening while running scans. "And horrifying." He pulled up a display showing the intricate network of hardware woven through Kreth's nervous system. "This isn't just combat enhancement," Jin said. "This is comprehensive control. Memory suppression, pain compliance, emotional regulation, loyalty enforcement. You're basically running on someone else's software." "It ensures efficiency," Kreth said. It was his automatic response, but it sounded hollow now, even to him. "It ensures slavery," Jin corrected. He showed Kreth something else. "Your genetic markers indicate accelerated aging," Jin said quietly. "The Xinthians built planned obsolescence into your DNA." "How long do I have?" Kreth asked. He kept his voice level. "Combat conditioning. Accept the tactical situation. Adapt to parameters." "At current degradation rates," Jin said, "maybe 5 years. 5 years." Kreth had known abstractly that Varguls didn't live long. Most died in combat anyway. But knowing he had a timer, knowing that his body was programmed to fail, that was different. "Can it be fixed?" he asked. Jin bit his lip. "Maybe," he said. "There's a geneticist on New Kyoto Station, Dr. Sarah Chen. She's done work with bioengineered species before, rewriting genetic code to remove artificial limitations." "But," Kreth prompted. "But New Kyoto is in Confederacy space," Jin said. "Confederacy has filed charges against us for theft of military assets." "So going there would be dangerous," Kreth said. "Very dangerous," Jin agreed. That night, Kreth couldn't rest. His neural implants kept cycling through the data. 5 years, maybe less. He had survived 19 battles, survived being abandoned on a battlefield, survived assassination attempts, only to learn that his own body was his final enemy. He found Maria on the observation deck. She was staring out at the stars with a cup of coffee and a tired expression. "Can't sleep?" she asked without turning. "Do you ever regret saving me?" Kreth asked. Maria turned now. "No," she said immediately. "Why would I?" "I am expensive," Kreth said. "I am dangerous. I have brought legal troubles and assassination attempts, and now I am dying, and there may be nothing you can do." "That's a lot of reasons." Sip of her coffee. "You want to know something about humans?" she said. "We're really bad at cost-benefit analysis when it comes to people we care about." "Caring is inefficient," Kreth said. "Caring is what makes us human," Maria countered. "You think those things are drawbacks? I think they're exactly why you're worth saving." She gestured to the stars. "This galaxy is full of species who calculate the value of a life in credits and resources, who measure worth in utility, who discard people when they become inconvenient. Humans decided a long time ago that we weren't going to be those people. Sometimes it costs us. Sometimes we lose. But we don't leave people behind. That's the line we won't cross. Even for me," Kreth said. "Especially for you," Maria said, "because you remind us why that line matters." 2 days later, the decision was made for them. Haven's Reach with a fleet. Not a large fleet, but enough. 3 military vessels and a legal warrant from the Zynthian Collective. Captain Okonkwo, the station commander, called. We have a problem. Maria met with station authority and came back with a grim expression. The Zynthians are offering a bounty, she said. Triple Kret's weight in platinum for his return. That's enough to retire on. And if we refuse, Yuki asked. They'll declare us enemy combatants, Maria said. File charges with the Galactic Assembly. Make it impossible for us to dock at any legitimate port. The crew was silent. Kreth felt something cold settle in his chest. You should take the bounty, he said. Everyone stared at him. I'm serious, Kreth continued. I'm dying anyway. You could use that money. Could save someone else. Could live well. Could... We're not selling you. Sam interrupted. The teenager's voice was sharp. That's not how this works. Sam's right, Dimitri said. We don't trade crew for credits. But the cost, Kreth started. We've already paid costs, Yuki said. Might as well see it through. Jin nodded. We're going to New Kyoto. We'll figure out the legal troubles later. Maria looked at each of them. This is a vote, she said. This affects all of us. So everyone gets a say. We save Kreth and damn the consequences. Or we walk away. Save him, Dimitri said immediately. Save him, Jin agreed. Save him, Sam added. Save him, Yuki said. Maria smiled. Unanimous. We leave in 6 hours. Kreth didn't know what to say. His neural implants couldn't process this. These humans were risking everything. For him. For a dying weapon that they had no use for. Quietly. I know, Maria said. But you will. That night, Kreth made his decision. He waited until the crew was asleep. Then he quietly made his way to the escape pod bay. He had watched Sam prep the pods during safety drills. He knew how to launch them. If he left now, the Zynthians would have no reason to pursue the Persephone's coin. The crew would be safe. He would die, but he was dying anyway. And at least this way, his death would mean something. He was halfway into the pod when Dimitri's voice stopped him. Where do you think you're going? Kreth turned. The engineer was standing in the doorway, not armed, not threatening, just disappointed. I'm saving you, Kreth said. All of you. By running away, Dimitri said. By being logical, Kreth corrected. I'm the problem. Remove me and the problem is solved. That's not how family works, Dimitri. I'm not family, Kreth said. I'm barely even people. I'm a weapon that someone was kind enough to repair. And now I'm repaying that kindness by leaving before I destroy you all. Dimitri walked into the pod bay. You know what I thought when I first saw you? He said. I thought here's someone who's been used up and thrown away. Just like me. You're not like me, Kreth said. Aren't I? Dimitri asked. He held up his prosthetic arm. I was a soldier. I followed orders. I killed when they told me to kill. And when I couldn't fight anymore, they discarded me. Called me broken. Called me useless. Sent me away with a pension and a pat on the back. That's different, Kreth insisted. How? Dimitri asked. Because you had a choice. Did I? Dimitri said. I was conscripted at 16, sent to fight in a war I didn't start, for reasons I didn't add. Understand. I didn't choose that. But I chose what came after. He stepped closer. And you're choosing now. You can choose to run, to die alone, thinking you're saving us. Or you can choose to stay, to let us fight for you, to be part of something bigger than combat protocols and survival instincts. I will endanger you, Kreth said. Yeah, Dimitri agreed. That's what family does. They endanger each other. They risk for each other. They stand together even when it's stupid. He pulled Kreth out of the pod. You think we went through all this just to let you quit? You're crew now, you stubborn bastard. And crew doesn't run. The others were waiting outside. They had all heard. How long have you been there? Kreth asked. Long enough, Maria said. Did you really think we wouldn't notice you sneaking off? I was being quiet. Said. You weigh half a ton, Yuki pointed out. We heard you from the bridge. We were giving Dmitri a chance to talk you down, Jin added. Before we had to stun you. Sam was crying. Don't leave, the teenager said. Please. Kreth looked at all of them, these humans who made no sense, who operated on principles that defied efficiency, who risked everything for someone they barely knew. I don't know how to do this, he admitted. Be family, be crew, be anything other than a weapon. Then we'll teach you, Maria said. Together. We're going to New Kyoto, Dmitri said. We're going to find Dr. Chen. We're going to fix your genetics. And we're going to keep being stupid and inefficient and human. And you're going to stay with us and learn how to be stupidly inefficient too. Kret's neural implants threw another error. Loyalty parameters. Undefined. Mission objectives. Undefined. But for the first time that didn't bother him. He didn't need the implants to tell him what to do. He had something better. He had family. Okay, he said. I'll stay. Good, Maria said. Now let's get out of here, before the Xinthians realize we're leaving. The Persephone's coin launched from Haven's Reach 6 hours later. Destination: New Kyoto Station. Cargo: 1 war beast learning to be a person. Crew: 5 humans who refuse to leave anyone behind. And behind them, Thrix watched them go and made her own plans. The Xinthian collective would not allow this to stand. But the humans didn't care. They had each other. And sometimes, that was enough. New Kyoto Station was beautiful in a way that reminded Kreth of weapons, sleek lines, efficient design, purpose in every curve and angle. But unlike weapons, it was built for life, not death. The station orbited a garden world and served as a major hub for medical research and biotechnology. Dr. Sarah Chen's laboratory occupied an entire section of the research ring. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes, who looked at Kreth like he was the most interesting puzzle she had ever seen. Remarkable, she said after running her initial scans. The genetic engineering is masterful and monstrous. Can you fix it? Maria asked. Dr. Chen pulled up a holographic display of Kreth's DNA. The degradation is built into multiple gene sequences, she said. Telomere shortening, cellular senescence triggers, deliberate flaws in his DNA repair mechanisms. It's not just one thing I need to fix. Fix. It's everything. How long? Jin asked. To rewrite this much genetic code and ensure it integrates properly, Dr. Chen said. 6 weeks minimum. Maybe 8. We don't have 8 weeks, Yuki said. The Xinthians know we're here. She was right. The Persephone's coin had barely docked when Confederacy authorities came aboard with warrants and questions. Thrix had been busy. She had filed complaints with the Galactic Assembly. She had pressured the Confederacy to honor extradition treaties. She had made it clear that harboring Kreth was a diplomatic incident. But Admiral Rebecca Okafor, who commanded New Kyoto Station, had different ideas. I'm not in the habit of handing over refugees to people who want to kill them, she told Maria. Admiral Okafor was old by human standards, with white hair and a face that had seen too many wars. The Confederacy may have treaties with the Xinthians, but we also have ethics. The Xinthians are calling him military property, Maria said. Then the Xinthians can explain to the Galactic Assembly why their military property is a sentient being capable of requesting asylum, Admiral Okafor said. In the meantime, he stays here under station protection. But protection came with conditions. The Xinthians are building a legal case, Admiral Okafor explained. They're claiming that Vargals are bioweapons, that keeping one is equivalent to possessing illegal armaments. They want precedent that these beings can be destroyed on sight. They want to make sure no one else tries to rescue warbeasts. What can we do? Kreth asked. Testify, Admiral Okafor said. Tell the Galactic Assembly what you are, what you've experienced. Give them a reason to classify Vargals as people, not weapons. Kreth's neural implants sparked with something like fear. Words, he said. You don't need to be good with words, Dr. Chen said. You just need to be honest. The news spread quickly. A Vargal war beast rescued by humans and seeking asylum. It was unprecedented. Other species who used bioengineered soldiers watched nervously. If Vargals were classified as people, what about their war beasts? What about their combat clones? What about their disposable troops? The implications were staggering. And then something unexpected happened. Other war beasts started appearing at New Kyoto. A Krellian shock trooper who had escaped after his unit was destroyed. A Merrick's combat drone who had achieved unexpected sentience. A Thorian berserker who had been left to die after her cybernetics failed. They came because they had heard about the humans who said no more. Admiral Okafor granted them all asylum. Let the Xinthians complain, she said. I've got bigger things to worry about than hurt feelings. But the Xinthians weren't just complaining. They were preparing. Thrix arrived at New Kyoto with a fleet. 7 military vessels, 2 destroyer class, 5 frigates, and a legal warrant from the Xinthian High Command. Surrender all bioengineered military assets immediately, she demanded, or face the consequences. Admiral Okafor's response was broadcast across the station. These beings are under Confederacy protection, she said. They have committed no crimes. They seek only to live. I will not surrender them. Then you choose war, Thrix said. I choose principle, Admiral Okafor replied. The Xinthian fleet took up attack positions. They outnumbered New Kyoto's defense force 3-1. The battle should have been quick, but Admiral Okafor had sent out a call, a simple message broadcast on all frequencies. War beasts have fought your wars, bled for your causes, died for your objectives, and you discard them like spent ammunition. Not here. Not on my watch. If you believe they deserve protection, come and help us protect them. The response was overwhelming. Human vessels arrived first. Independent traders and salvage crews like the Persephone's Coin. Military ships that had defied orders to stay away. Colony defense forces from human settlements across the sector. But not just humans. A Reach Confederacy battle group showed up under the command of a captain who had lost a limb in combat, and understood what it meant to be discarded. A Malrex merchant fleet arrived, carrying supplies. Even some Xinthian ships defected, bringing their own war beasts with them. These Xinthians were lower caste, the ones who worked with war beasts directly, the ones who saw them as people, not equipment. New Kyoto was surrounded by a defensive fleet of over 40 vessels. Thrix faced Admiral Okafor across comm channels. You cannot win this, Thrix said. This is bigger than one station. You're right, Admiral Okafor agreed. This is bigger than one station. This is about whether we're going to keep treating sentient beings as disposable resources, and I'm not backing down. The Xinthian High Command issued an ultimatum. Surrender the war beasts, or New Kyoto would be destroyed. Admiral Okafor prepared for battle. In Dr. Chen's laboratory, Kreth watched the preparations. His genetic therapy was only half complete. His body was caught between what it was and what it could be. I should fight, he said. You should rest, Dr. Chen said. You're not combat ready. I'm never not combat ready, Kreth said. That's the problem. But he couldn't stay idle, not while humans and others prepared to die defending him. Not while the principle of his personhood was being fought over in the void above. He found Maria on the observation deck again. She was suited up in combat armor, ready for boarding actions if the Xinthians breached the station. You should be in the medical bay, she said. So should you, Kreth replied. Maria smiled. Fair point, she said. They stood together watching the fleet's maneuver. I'm sorry, Kreth said. For what? Maria asked. For all of this, Kreth said. The fighting, the danger, the cost. You're sorry that people are willing to fight for your right to live, Maria said. When you put it that way, it sounds foolish, Kreth admitted. It sounds human, Maria corrected. We're stubborn like that. The battle began at 0600 station time. The Zintian fleet opened fire with long-range weapons, trying to force the defenders to scatter. Defensive fleet held formation. Human vessels took the brunt of the initial assault. Their shields flared and their armor scorched, but they didn't break. A Confederacy destroyer took a direct hit and began venting atmosphere. 2 human frigates moved to cover it, pulling survivors from the wreck. The Zintians pressed their advantage. They had superior firepower and better coordination. But the defenders had something else. They fought like Kreth had taught them, like humans fought, with no one left behind. Every damaged ship was protected. Every escape pod was recovered. Every crew member was worth the risk. It was inefficient. It was costly. It was completely contrary to how wars were supposed to work. And it was working. The Zintians couldn't break the defensive line because the defenders refused to value tactics over lives. Thrix watched this with growing frustration, winning by the numbers, but she wasn't achieving her objective. She couldn't get to New Kyoto. She couldn't silence Kreth. She couldn't prevent this precedent from being set. So she made a decision that would change everything. She ordered a boarding assault on New Kyoto itself. 50 Zintian commandos, in assault pods, targeting the research ring, targeting Dr. Chen's laboratory, targeting Kreth. The station's defenses destroyed most of the pods, but 6 made it through. Kreth felt them breach the hull. His combat instinct screamed. "They're here for me," he told Dr. Chen. "Go to a secure location," Dr. Chen ordered. "I'm not hiding," Kreth said. He had spent his entire life following orders, obeying handlers, being controlled. Not anymore. He grabbed a plasma rifle from the station armory and moved toward the breach point. The other war beasts joined him. Krelian shock trooper, the Merrick's combat drone, the Thorian berserker. All of them had been abandoned. All of them had been saved. All of them were ready to fight, but not as weapons, as people defending their home. The battle in the corridors was brutal. The Zintian commandos were elite troops, but they were fighting war beasts who had something to lose. Kreth led the defense with tactics he had learned from humans. Protect the wounded, cover your allies, fight as a unit. The commandos were trying to kill him, but his new family was trying to keep him alive. And family was stronger than training. In the heart of the research ring, Kreth faced the commando leader. The Zintian was everything Kreth used to be: efficient, ruthless, programmed to complete the mission at any cost. "Unit VH-7744, the commando said. "Surrender." "My name is Kreth," Kreth replied, "and I don't take orders anymore." They fought. It should have been over quickly. Kreth was still injured, still healing, still caught between genetic states, but he wasn't fighting alone. Maria arrived with station security. Dmitri came with his rifle. Jin brought medical supplies. Sam provided covering fire. They fought together, and together they won. The commando went down. The assault was repelled. And outside, in the void, Thrix watched her operation fail. The Galactic Assembly was watching too. Broadcast across hundreds of worlds. The images of humans and others fighting to protect war beasts. The images of those war beasts defending their rescuers. The images of beings who had been called property, choosing to be people. The political pressure was immediate and overwhelming. The Reach Confederacy formally recognized war beasts as sentient beings. Governments followed. The Zintian High Command recalled Thrix's fleet. They claimed it was a rogue operation. They disavowed the assault. They began investigating their war beast programs. It was all lies, of course, but lies that created space for change. The battle was over. New Kyoto had held, and across the galaxy, war beasts were learning that maybe they didn't have to die forgotten. Maybe someone would come for them. Maybe humans would. 6 weeks later, Dr. Chen completed Kreth's genetic therapy. "Your telomeres are stable," she said with a smile. "The degradation has stopped. Your lifespan should be 70 years or more." 70 years, Kreth repeated. He had never imagined living that long. "What will I do with 70 years?" he asked. "Whatever you want," Maria said. "You're free now." Free. Another word that Kreth's neural implants couldn't process. But he was. He was learning that freedom wasn't about having no orders. It was about choosing which orders to follow, and he had made his choice. "The Persephone's coin," he said. "Is it still doing salvage work?" "We've been commissioned as an independent rescue and recovery vessel," Maria said. "Funded by people who believe in what we're doing." "Searching battlefields for the forgotten," Yuki added. "War beasts who were left behind," Jin said. "Soldiers who need help," Dimitri finished. "Will you take another crew member?" Kreth asked. "Always," Maria said. 3 months later, the Persephone's coin approached a battlefield on the edge of Thorian space. Scanners detected biosigns. Something alive among the wreckage.